Welcome to the intro welcome to the intro Adobe Illustrator lab. This is the first lab, so you should have already watched the lecture. So I'm just gonna go right forward. Okay, I've opened up my Illustrator file named Illustrator Lab 1. The purpose of this is for you to copy this image, create this image really right here below it, and so on and so on. And I want to call your attention to the layers. The layer that you're going to be working on is called work. The layer that the example's on is locked, and that's how it should be. You need to keep that locked because that way you won't accidentally move these and have to fool with them. So work on this one and look at this one. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I'm going to start the process to show you how to do these items. So let's go to this one first. So what we're doing on this one is we're making a series. There's actually 12 red boxes. You can make these different colors if you want to. I used red because I liked the colors. No, I seriously, I picked them because they really vibrate against each other. You can see that green and that red are really vibrating. Okay, so there's many ways to do this. You can actually make every single one of these. So let's get started. So I am going to move my view up to this. There are many ways that you can recreate this, and I'm going to show you a couple. There are some others that are a little bit more AI-ish, but I'm just going to show you the basic thing so you can understand how to use some of these tools to get things straight. All right, so first of all, I'm going to change this to my Properties tab. If you don't have the Properties tab, you can go to Window, and I don't know if this is going to show up. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And go down to Properties. It's alphabetical, more or less. So you can find it and turn it on right there. And while you're at it on this window, you need to make sure that you've got the essentials set and also the control bar checked and the advanced toolbars checked, because that way you can have the same tools and the same sort of view that I have. All right. So let's start at the back. I'm going to make these red boxes. So I'm going to get my box tool, my rectangular tool, and I'm going to hold down the shift key and make myself a square. I have all of my tools over here. You can access them in so many different ways. Um, Adobe just loves to make it so that you can work the way that you want to. So I'm just going to do the panel here, this property panel. So I'm going to double click the fill, and it gives me several different choices. Um, Honestly, Pantone has messed up with Adobe. I'm going to just tell you this really quick because we talked about Pantone colors, the PMS colors. There used to be a partnership that Pantone just automatically had palettes loaded into all of the Adobe software, uh, in just every one of them. It was just an available palette. Well, a couple of years ago, they had some kind of little dust up between the two. I'm assuming a lot here, but the bottom line is Pantone no longer offered their palettes in Adobe Illustrator. In order to replace those palettes, you have to go and buy a plugin. Well, to be honest with you, I'm not going to ask you to buy that plugin. I personally have not bought that plugin to go into mine because I can work around it, but just know that you are not going to find a really good plug-in palette, a good PMS palette. And this one is basically just empty, waiting for you to fill it up. So for my purposes in this exercise, I'm just going to pick this color mixer. If you want to do a different style, you can certainly do it, but I'm going to use the color mixer just because it's more simple. All right, so I'm going to pick myself a red color for my fill, and my outside fill is already black, but I am going to make my stroke bigger. Now, a stroke is a stroke. It's going to be the same size no matter what, but visually we can make it different by making the size bigger. Like I'm going to put 20 on there just to show you. You can go all the way up to 100, or you can come in here and fill in your own number. So that is way too big. I am going to take this down to maybe 11 and see what that looks like. Oh, that's a pretty good size. So I'm going to leave that alone. Notice that whenever I did that, this shows up here too. So you've got it here and you've got it here. You click stroke and you have another dialog box that gives you all kinds of things. And we'll talk more in length about that later. I have my square. I'm going to make this a little smaller. So I'm going to have Shift and I'm going to push into the center with the click held. Okay, that makes it a little smaller. We'll have a little more room to do this. So rather than drawing another box and trying to make it exactly the same size, I am going to hold down my Option key and click on the square, and I'm going to drag, click and hold and drag, and I have just made myself another box. And it doesn't matter if it goes like that. And then I'm going to click Option and hold my click and do it again. Okay, so now we've got 3 boxes. I'm going to select all of the boxes. I have my selection tool selected, so I'm going to just select my 3 boxes. I'm going to go over here to Align. Now you can see Align here, or you can see Align up here in your control bar. You can pull down the windows and go to Align and open up another box. I'm just going to use this right here because it's pretty handy. So first of all, I am going to make them all straight all the way across. I can do this by clicking the vertical top so they all pop to the same top, or I can hit the vertical align center. So I'm just going to center them. So now the only thing that we've got to do is make these so that they're exactly the same space in between. I'm going to click this, and now I've got more options. So I can do all kinds of different distribution and all that kind of stuff, but I'm going to show you a really quick way. This is a vertical distribution space, and this is a horizontal distribution. Easy for me to say. Distribution space. I'm going to click that, and it automatically makes it so all 3 are the same space between. Now, instead of doing this all over again and making another row, I'm going to go up to Option and I'm going to Group. That is Command G. So now, instead of it being individual items like we had, they're all one single object. And you can ungroup it. Whenever you go to Object, you can see that there is an ungroup selection there. But the reason I've grouped them is because if I had them separate and I grabbed one and moved it, then I would have my arrangement here messed up. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing that I did before. I have them selected, hold down the Option key, and you notice I get an extra little addition to my direct selection cursor. I hold down the Option and then that little white one pops up. So I'm going to click, hold my click, drag, and bring them down. Okay. So now you can just continue to fill them, or you could do just like I do, and I select all of them so I can double the speed that I'm doing this. So now I have all of the squares. But there's one more thing I'm going to check. I'm going to make sure, and I'm going to use my selection tool. I'm going to select all of them, and I'm going to make sure that they're all centered. Now I could have lined them all up on the left, or I could have lined them up all on the right, but I chose to center rather than do that. So now I'm going to make sure that I have the same space in between these. So now I click here and they're all the same. Okay, So now you can take these, select them all, and group them. Command G. And notice that you've got this down here on your little, um, I call it AI tab. I know it's got a different name. Let me look it up right quick. It is a contextual taskbar. Okay, so it, according to what you're doing, it tries to give you some things that you can use. Like you have the option of stroke. You've got hide the bar. You can pin it somewhere so that it does not move around. Like right now, it kind of freewheels a little bit. See, as I scroll up, it starts going along with me. I'm gonna just leave it like that. So I've got those all grouped. And there's one more thing I can do. You don't have to do this one. I am going to lock these because I don't want them moving around. So I go to Object and Lock Selection. So now I can't select it no matter what I do. Let me scoot out a little bit. Command minus. I cannot select these anymore because they have been locked. That means that they're not moving until I unlock them. So let's do the same thing with the circles. I'm going to go to my rectangle tool and change it to an ellipse tool by clicking that box and holding down and just changing. So I'm going to make myself a round circle. Now we can do a shift and make a circle, or we can hold shift option, go to the very center here and make a circle. So one way, just holding the shift makes the circle grow, and you have to from wherever you've clicked. And as you hold your click, it grows. Or with the option and shift chosen, you pick where you want that to be centered, and you can make it from the center. So it just depends on which one. If you have the option pull pressed, then it will grow from the center. I'm going to get rid of that one. Going to change my color. This time I'm going to go here. You can double click those little boxes and you can make the colors change. Okay, so I'm going to pick kind of a greenish one this time. Okay. You know what I did there? I did that without having anything selected. So when you don't have something selected, it's going to do nothing. I'm going to double click again. I'm going to choose my color again and say, okay. Now, if I put this on top, I can double click and choose my color. And I don't remember what color I had. It doesn't matter. Uh, Now I want to show you. I moved this bar, but I did not pay any attention to this one at all. So whenever you click on one of these, when you're using this sliding bar like this, you need to pick over here to get the exact color that you want, because otherwise it's going to continue on trying to make that color that you had. So it was continuing to make a black color, even though I had it slid up to the blue area. Okay, so that's a little big. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. So with these little, I'm going to get closer, command plus. So with these little indicators here, because those are not anchors. Anchors are here. So I'm going to just scoot this over just a little bit using my arrow keys. Okay, that's close enough. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to hold the option key, I'm going to drag it over and get it kind of centered up here. I'm going to have them both selected. I'm going to click the vertical align. Okay. Then I am going to group those. Command G. And again, I'm going to hold my option key and I'm going to click. I had this selected, so I'm going to click and drag and let go of my click before I let go of the option. And I'm going to click and drag again. Okay, so now I've got the whole thing completed. I have finished all of this. I'm going to now make my, whoops, what did I do there? I clicked the vertical center. That meant that all of these loosely, they're all grouped, but they're not grouped together. So it all went to it did exactly what I asked it to do, which is not sometimes the thing that you want. I meant to choose the horizontal line. Okay, now I've got them aligned. They're sitting different spaces from each other. So I'm going to go in here and distribute the space evenly so that I have those in the right places. Now you can either go to your object and unlock all, or you can just leave it locked. It's really up to you, but you can undo that. All right, so that's that one. The next one is using the line tool, making a row of just a graphic illustration of a bunch of rows. Okay, so I'm going to just start with this one, and I'm going to click and pull down just the line. Going to make my stroke a little bit bigger, and I'm going to change the stroke color. I'm going to go to my palette chooser, and I'm going to make this green. So you can just keep drawing lines and hope that you get them all straight on the top and on the bottom. But I am not going to do that. I'm going to use my option and pull and pull. I don't care how many lines you get. I just want you to get multiple lines. And I'm going to pull, and I'll pull one more set. Okay, now you can see that these are not even. So I've got to use my align tool. I'm going to make them all exactly the same on the top and the bottom. Click my dots, distribute the spacing, and there you go. Now you're ready to use those in a graphic way. Now, the next one, I would suggest that you do this on the top of this, because otherwise you may not have the same curve. It's easier to follow curves like this. So I'm going to start right here, and I'm going to make my stroke a different color so that you'll be able to see it better. So I'm going to make it kind of an orangey red. Okay, so you start with your pen tool, click at the beginning, and you don't have to hold any clicks. As a matter of fact, you don't want to hold your click. And you can either go here and hold your click and pull and try to make it match the curve, or you can do like I do. I go click, click, where I think that there's a curve that's big enough to deal with, and here, and here, and here, and I'm going to do one there. Okay, now I have to deselect. So you can either go up to select, deselect, or you can, if your little bar has it on there, then you can use that one. So now I am going to get in here and I am going to use my flying V. Now, this one I went ahead and curved it. So let's just go to this next one. Okay. So here's another one. Close is good enough. I'm going to click on this and pull my handle. And I'm going to pull my handle and pull my handle again. You can go whichever direction is correct. Now I want you to note that I have got something weird going on here. Sometimes you just have too many points. So I am going to take my minus tool, click on that one, take my direct selection tool, kind of smooth it out a little bit. And this one needs to be curved now. And now my weird bump is gone. All right, so now just click this with your selection tool and drag it down here. Now this one, just use your pen tool. And remember, you can add points, anchors. So I'm just going to show you how I built this. I just clicked and I made a box. I mean, you can go that way, but I'm going to make a box. Going to add a point in the middle of this. Use my direct selection tool to drag it down. Okay. And now this one, you can either draw that one just like we did the S, or you can use the tool that has that particular shape, the spiral. All right. So I'm going to let you guys stop the video and do this one now. Welcome back. Now this is just a series of stars. I want you to just practice with the stars that I showed you before, where that you can click, and if you hold the shift key, it makes it straight. So you can just make it bigger and bigger. Okay, so that's one star. I'm going to actually make all these stars from the same star. So I'm going to make this star, make it a little smaller so everything will fit. Hold your shift key down so that it is in proportion. Okay, so the first star I want to make is a 6-pointed star. So all I have to do is go, whoops, plus. So let me do that again. I'm going to actually make a copy of that. Okay, so I'm going to add 1 point to it. Okay, then I did these a whole lot smaller. I'm just going to copy and copy just so I can, whoops, I lifted my finger too fast. That's what happens when you do that. I'm going to make these smaller so they'll all fit. All right, so let's start with this one. Now that one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I can just select this and just add 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oops, oops, there we go. That works. Then this one is however many you want to make. Go to the max if you want to. So now we've got that, but there's something different. This is solid. This is not solid. This just has a stroke on it. So with that one selected, I am going to go to my little swap fill and stroke button and do that. And now we've got it. We've got it filled. Okay, I'm going to stop for a second because I'm about to introduce you to something a little bit more complex, and I want you to have this finished before we start. Okay, welcome back. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to draw a rectangle. So I'm going to draw a rectangle. And it doesn't matter what colors they are. I just have them different colors to make it a little easier for you to see. Then I'm going to change over to an ellipse tool. I'm going to go to the very top. Okay, unselect. Okay, so I'm just going to go to the very top of this. I'm going to hold the shift and the option key down and make myself a little circle. I'm going to change that fill color just so you can see what I'm doing. All right. So the idea is to go from this point to get to this point. Well, there is a series of things that I find extremely useful, and they're called pathfinders. So I'm going to go to my window and bring those up to the top because it looks like they've fallen off to the bottom, or they've fallen off altogether. Pathfinder. It might pop up in the strangest place. I'm going to try and pull that up out of the way and this out of the way. I wish that Zoom didn't have all these little pieces all over the place. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is this is what I'm talking about, the Pathfinder. What this does is it can take two objects and change them. So you can either add the shape together and make it one. You can subtract, and this is the one that does that. Unite is what that one's called. This one is minus front, just like it says. You put something in front of another object and it takes the bite of the shape out of the thing on the back. This one is intersect. That means where two things have overlapped. When you click this one, everything goes away except the overlap. And then this one is exactly the opposite. It excludes the overlap. So there are the basics of Pathfinder. So let's see what we can do with this one. I've got it selected. So which one of these does that emulate? All right, if you're saying minus front, you are right. So have your circle and your rectangle selected, come over to minus front, give it a click, and now you've got that. So what I want you to do is I want you to show your work, just like in math. So I want you to copy these, copy your circle and your rectangle, and then do your minus front on that. Okay, let's do another. I'm going to draw another circle, and I am going to make it a little big, move it up a little bit. Now I'm going to draw another circle, but I want it to be a different color. So I'm going to click and I'm going to pick some kind of other color. Let's pick that color. All right, so I have my circle picked. I go to the center, I hold Option and Shift, and I make it smaller than the first one, just like that. And I am going to make sure that I've got those exactly placed the way that I want them placed. There's my little Pathfinders. I knew that we had some over here, so you can see that you can go up to Window and get a nice big one that's got a line and transform and Pathfinder all together. Or you can you can go to the Properties panel and have them here. So I'm going to use the ones on the property panel because that property panel is so, so handy. So what I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to take out the middle of this circle. But notice on my example, I've got red on the outside, I've got purple on the inside, and I end up with the purple. So let's look and see what we've got here. I'm going to make my circle a little bit smaller so you can see more red. Oh, come on. There we go. I didn't have my cursor in the right place. Okay, so now that's going to do this again. Sorry. All right, so now I've got both circles chosen. I am going to say minus front again, and it takes out that hole. And this time I have an orange one. On these, I'm going to make it have a little bit of a stroke. I'm going to make it a little bigger so you can see it. Okay, so I'm going to select this and I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go ahead and make a copy of it so we have both copies. So I'm going to make a copy and I'm going to click the Pathfinder and I'm going to use minus front and it maintains the back color. This one didn't work out that way. It should have been red, but we'll just say that it did and just go on. So now we're going to do one with three objects. So I'm going to make okay, I've made the circle first. That's fine. No big deal. So I'm going to make a circle a little bigger than that because I want to be able to see what I'm doing. And then I am going to do a square. And I'm going to do a square a little bit smaller. And I actually chose the one that has the rounded corners. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to click my direct selection tool and make it so that it's square. So now we've got these two objects, but I want to make something that's going to kind of go in between. I need to change some colors too to help. Rectangle tool this time. And I'm just going to I'm going to just draw an just a little long rectangle thing here. So I want to make all of these have smaller strokes. That's just choking everything out. I want to be able to see what we're doing here. So I'm going to make this one green. Hit it once, Janice, just once. Okay, so that one's green. Then this one is going to be gold. Take that cyan out of there. I'm going to put it on top here. And then I'm just going to leave the circle the same color. Gonna go and make a vertical alignment. Option key, drag. Oh, and these are both too big. So I'll just make them smaller after I'm done. Okay, so now I'm to this stage. So to make this, I need to use a different one because otherwise, if we used this one, the front would go away. I want to do something that makes it all come together and be one piece. So here we've got the Unite key, the Unite button. So click that and notice what was on top colored everything. So be aware of the colors that you have. Now I'm going to select, oopsie. I'm going to just make these all smaller so it fits on the page. Okay, so that's it. That's all you need to do. All right, next time we're going to go back into Illustrator and do some more fun things. All right, until I see you in the next lab.